Why has this lens become such a pivotal part of my production process? I've been using it on all of my commercial work these days, whether that's in Tulum or New York or Hawaii. And honestly, it might be the only lens I need. So there's a lot of lenses out there, and when you're trying to pick one, it can be a bit overwhelming. You have lenses like your classic 24 to 70mm f2.8, or maybe even some 50mm prime lenses that are gorgeous, or even the extended handy reach of a 70 to 200mm. And yeah, they're all fantastic lenses. I've used them all on various different projects and they've been wonderful. But honestly, there's one lens that I've used for about 90% of my commercial work, and it's this lens, the 24-105 f4 lens. A boring, uninteresting, simple piece of glass. How lame is that? So I'm here at this lovely cafe in Chattanooga, Tennessee, windy Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hopefully it doesn't pick up too much in the mic, but I'm here to answer this question. Why is this lens, this boring lens, so useful? And spoiler warning, it's because it's just so versatile. So obviously, given its name, it is 24mm on the wide end and 105mm on the telephoto end, really giving you a solid range of options. It kind of keeps the 24 to 70 from being quite as adaptable. 70mm, even though it doesn't sound that far off from 105mm, it's just often not quite enough. Also, on many modern full-frame cameras like the Canon R6 Mark II, you do have the option to shoot in an APS-C crop mode, making this 105mm lens closer to about 170mm. So for most shooting environments, I do find that the 24mm to 105mm range covers pretty much every situation, except for vlogging. If you are gonna vlog with this lens, honestly, I don't think it's quite wide enough, even on a full-frame camera. You might want to get more like an 18mm for something like that. Another great thing about this lens is that it is stabilized, meaning that you can pivot to those handheld shots quite easily and get some solid footage. Lens stabilization, for the most part, has become such a necessity for the way that I shoot my footage. As you can see from this clip here, one is stabilized and one isn't. It's pretty obvious what the benefits are. It's allowing you to be a lot more free in the types of shots you get without having to worry about those little handshakes and jitters that we all tend to do, especially when we've had too much coffee. Also, if you want to fly it on a gimbal, you can, and get those little bit of extra handshakes out while using your gimbal. Speaking of gimbals, this is more or less the setup that I use for most of my work, because this lens is plenty light enough to fly on my gimbal. It doesn't get too heavy over time. And also, I'm able to use it at 105mm pretty comfortably and get stable, smooth footage like the shot that you're seeing on screen right now. The reason why a lot of people tend to overlook this lens or just generally don't jive with it is because it is an f4 lens, which is just kind of not exciting at all. You're missing out on a lot of that sweet bokeh that a lot of us go crazy for. And additionally, because it's an f4 lens, you're not going to be letting in as much light, meaning that if you're shooting in a darker scenario, like maybe a concert or something, this lens could struggle. Unless you're shooting on a Sony camera, in which case you're thriving, unlike me, who is shooting on a Canon camera, and I am struggling. I need to figure out my choices. Another nifty feature about this specific 24-105, this is the f4 IS L Series RF Canon 24-105, you do get this nifty, you hear that? Command ring. This is programmable in your camera settings, so you can have it do pretty much whatever you want, although there is only one correct thing to have this do, and that is control your aperture, because your aperture should be controlled on your lens, not something silly like your white balance. That would be ridiculous. You know who you are. And yeah, if I was recording a sit-down interview, of course I would use a nice set of prime lenses, but if you're gonna be doing a sit-down interview and then handheld B-roll and then maybe some gimbal shots and you're shooting in various different scenarios, it's really hard to beat the versatility of this lens. So yeah, if you're going to be purchasing just one lens and you need something that can kind of do it all, I highly recommend the 24-105 f4 lens. And of course, this is a Canon lens, but you can find this with Sony and many other camera manufacturers. It seems to be a pretty universal lens. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me that this is kind of the perfect all-around lens, or do you find it to be more on the boring side because it's f4 and that's stinky, and you'd rather buy 24 to 70 or something like that? Let me know down below. I hope that you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy, guys.